we're getting thumbs up.
Oh, wow. See, look at that.
This is impressive.
Wow.
So wherever you're watching this right now, we're actually streaming it on Twitch, LinkedIn, multiple Facebook pages, and
YouTube, multiple YouTubes.
yeah, probably on your local cable news channel.
For all we know, we took over the government.
Yeah.
And it's like streaming like the 5th of November and that and V for Vendetta.
Exactly. But that's what Mark likes to do here. He likes to play with the tools and then see what we can do. It goes above and beyond, as you can see with this podcast and the multiple streaming locations. And now we're here. Now we're live. We're bearing the fruits.
We are bearing the fruits of many, many hours of tons of work. I'm going to ask you to adjust that camera real quick for me. Just get it. There you go. That should be good. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been one hell of a journey to get here, to get this thing up and running.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time I turn on this system, I have to like update 17 iPads, multiple phones. I have to like turn on multiple systems that are all flowing. But for the longest time, this has been my personal dream to be able to live stream to multiple locations all at the same moment. And I can see that it is literally working here in the background. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely the direction you got to go. Knowing you and the YouTube rabbit holes that you go down and all the different topics, all you need to know is, all you need really is to be able to just start talking about it. So we had a little Bitcoin chat last week. We were able to chop up and share on YouTube, which went really well. And now we're adding the live component in there, so feels good.
We're here.
It's fast, first to market, essentially. How we can have conversations, how can we stay on top of the
If Bitcoin crashes right now, I could be talking about it before anyone.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's the way I see it. It's like we're literally now at the same speed as like cable TV going live, and there's something beautiful about that. And there's something that they're not doing, which is going across all the different social platforms. So wherever your attention is, you can go now watch this later on social, and that's what's so beautiful about this too. So I got to give a shout out to Joe Rogan and some of the work that he's been doing over the years. It's always been an inspiration for me in terms of how they have built a setup and changed the game in terms of podcasting, particularly on the video front. And it's just been something that for the longest time I wanted to create and do. But it's been a struggle. It's been you of all people know how much I have struggled to make this happen. But it's definitely been the thing I've wanted to do more than anything else. And making videos and doing it with editing and all that stuff is great, and I love it. But this is definitely the format that I think fits my personal character, because this allows me to boom, switch to that camera right now, or boom, switch to this camera right now. You know what I mean? And that capacity to just completely live in the moment, stay here in the now, and then at the exact same time be able to speak my mind, be able to fully express myself and feel like I'm like, I don't know, making a difference, having an impact is unlike anything else. And technology is meeting me there. This is the first time I feel like all the tech that I would love to use is also available to the everyday man. And, you know, you don't need like a TriCaster with $14,000 worth of, you know, just video switching gear, and now, you know, another 30,000 of cameras just to run a show. You now are technology is kind of democratizing this more and more and more. And
the barriers to entry is becoming extremely low.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to actually just sharing a message online. I mean, not too long ago, 40, 50 years ago, there was like three networks on TV. That was where all the information came from. And then 2010, 2011, 2012, we saw like a massive rise when it came to Facebook page, and we come to different media outlets, alternative media outlets, and people having a voice. And it shot up very quickly, and that just showed how ready the market was for different opinions and how quick you were to do such in a fashion way. You didn't have to get like a big book signing to entice somebody to share your book out there. We have all access in the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
And it's, I think it's like one is just understanding it, and then two is just like using it and figuring it out along the way and having a constant curiosity with it.
I think the curiosity is like really driven me personally, and I know it drives you as well, as to like, what does the attention economy look like, and how is it changing everything that we're doing? You know, and there's no doubt about the fact that the amount of time that people are spending on screens is drastically shifting. Whether they're spending more time, which I believe they are, but even if they're not, they're spending more time like darting from one screen to the next screen. Like they did these eye tracking studies around like what people were doing when watching commercials or TV shows or whatever it was, and they were just constantly switching to and from their phone or to an iPad or to a laptop. Like they were looking at multiple screens at the exact same time, and I get it because I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
So we're in a culture where how we relate to other people is found through a device. It's found through this kind of superficial, artificial connection, and at the same time, there's something beautiful about what live allows us to do that changes that and can kind of bring the humanity back. Like my ultimate goal is to have like a little call system here with, you know, I don't know, a HomePod or whatever it is, and be able to literally take in calls.
Already on to the next idea. We just figured out this one, and he's already on it. It's going to add another like 30 minutes of troubleshooting for us to get going live. But I respect that outlook, and yeah, I mean, with all that information and with all that access, there has to be a level of discernment, I think, for the people that are consuming it. And that's like been the one big topics that I've been on recently, and that's what I've been telling people is that to take control of those algorithms, to take control of where your attention is being brought in. Who are you supporting through the content that you're consuming? And that atmosphere is that we are what's the extension of like a robots, or like we have like these
transhumanism of sorts.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we already have those tools. We have the cell phones that can research anything within a matter of seconds. So using those to our benefits, deciding on what we're consuming, who we're following, who we're supporting, both that's a vote, not just a vote when it comes to the polls every 4 years, whatever it may be.
Vote every
not
day.
Just a vote even when it comes to a dollar where you spend it, but a vote within your attention, because we're living in an economy, and whoever has the attention has like a certain amount of ability to push a message forward. And if you're giving, even if you're not totally resonating with that message, which Trump does so well, then you're giving that person power.
Yeah.
Giving somebody that full attention. So doing an analysis on where we are putting our attention whenever there's so many different information pieces coming in so many different directions. And if we take a look, I mean, my phone's being used for the recording of this right now, but if we were to look at how often we pick up our phone, we were doing this the other day. It's ridiculous.
God,
Hundreds of times each day picking it up.
Like whoop, whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop. And you know, you and I geek out so much on the attention economy and how it's changing. I even shared a link with you yesterday around like what are the click-through rates on what kind of videos, and which videos get the most engagement, and which videos get the most reach, and whether or not they're vertical or horizontal or square or whatever it is, like the different formats and all the different things that go with that, right? Does live get more engagement than non-live? And the answer is yes, it does, right? It's less popular than it was at one moment because the juice of the algorithm is constantly changing. But when you pay attention to that, and people's businesses live and breathe on that, you know, we're in a very different marketplace. And I think that a lot of people that you and I know depend 100% on what happens on these platforms, right? I mean,
Whole businesses.
I mean, even elections,
Yeah.
right? If you think about like the whole Russia, Donald Trump, and beyond even just whether another country meddled in the elections or not, one thing's for sure, Cambridge Analytica was a massive resource for polling data, for data around targeting specific people to get out to the polls in specific states that wins the Electoral College. We are now in a new era. And, you know, we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about like how buildings, like the technology of physically building something is incredibly advanced, right? It's really remarkable that we could build like these walls and they could stand for hundreds of years or whatever. And you know, most modern day construction is not doing that today. But the idea is that it's incredible that we can make bricks. Like if you had to ask me to make a brick right now, it would be a very big problem. I wouldn't know how to do it. But that's because there's generations of processes upon processes and technology upon technology and minds upon minds that have led to that being a possibility. But we are in the complete infancy of the internet and all the technology that comes with that. We've never dealt with something this powerful and this connective and this that can ripple through the entire system in the same way. Yes, radio changed the game. Yes, TV changed the game, but not in the same way that empowered every one of us to have a voice. Now, not forgetting the people who don't have access to the internet. I know that those people exist, but for the most part, more and more and more and more of these people are coming online, and this is becoming democratized further and further. And the most democratic thing that we have on the planet, right, beyond any other metric that you want to look at, is time. Right? At the end of the day, you have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. Wherever I live in the world, we have the same amount of time. So what we do with our attention, what we are able to do with our attention is the metric of privilege, if you will. But what we do with our attention matters more now than ever before. And, I've been saying this for some time. I believe that I believe that this format right here, this kind of setup, and it doesn't have to have the same mic. It doesn't have to have all the fancy gear or the nice sign or whatever it is. It can come at a much simpler rate. I mean, it could be done with a couple of iPhones and an iPad if you really wanted to, with no wires and no nothing. It can be done, but it's still a process for you to do that. And one of the things that I've watched you do over time, and I would love to talk about this, is the development of your own character in terms of how you are showing up on video, how you are showing up as a storyteller, how you are showing up on these platforms. Because many of us use this to share like what we ate yesterday or what we were doing, what concert we were at. And I find that that's a form of being a creator, but it's kind of still mainly from a consumeristic character perspective, right? It's just like, here's what I'm consuming, and now you get to just see a looking glass window into my reality. Whereas when you're a real creator, and I said real creator, but when you're a creator, you are thinking about like, what is somebody watching this really experiencing and feeling, and what value am I providing for them, and how am I enhancing their life or their experience right now? And I know you're deeply thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to like, this is a tool, and like it's impossible. You can use it as a scrapbook, and a lot of people do. Like they don't need this platform necessarily to build their business. It could definitely help in a lot of ways.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that can completely fine with just uploading what they want to upload. It's up to the cloud. They're able to share. They're able to keep in touch with their family, and that's perfectly fine.
Totally.
But if you're a creator and somebody who wants to share their art, wants to grow their business, this is like this is the prime platform and ground to do such. And you have to bring it back a little bit and see how you want to use it as a tool. You guys struggle with this all the time. I mean, I'm like still going through that phase of like, wonder what people will think of me, or like, how will I show up in this way? And that's a negative on my side. And like, as much as I know that that's not what I should be focusing on, it's kind of one of those like, it's easier said than done. But whenever I get ready to post something out, I always get a little bit nervous. But even every time I post it, it's going to be, it always does completely fine. It also is like met with so much positivity and reinforcement, which that shouldn't matter regardless. It's more so about using a tool to share that message I want to go through. And I think that that's another thing that I've been trying to implement with my own head, is that focusing on who you want to reach through this platform and not focusing on who you perceive will not like you in it. Like spending so much time worried about as a creator or somebody who wants to build their business through this platform, spending way too much time on, I wonder what this person will think about me that I passed a note to in second grade. Like, first of all, that person doesn't even like care or notice they're going to get lost in the algorithms. I should be focusing more on the people that it's going to truly impact.
The people who are paying attention.
The people it's going to, impact, and it's going to have a positive message for. Because at the end of the day, like, I want to help empower people with growing their business. I want to help spread information when it comes to eco-villages, sustainability, social impact businesses. And whenever I'm too caught up in the weeds of wondering what this person that's in second grade that I passed a message to is going to think, even though this person's not real, it's more so about like this internal head of my voice being like, it is. Then that's holding back. That's not giving a fair opportunity to the people that it could actually impact and that could actually have a positive long run.
Mm-hmm.
Changing that perception, using it as a tool, and then just showing up and start creating and not overthinking it too much. But having a clear strategy, having a clear ethos to share your message from, and what you want to use it from. Do you want to grow your photography through it? Do you want to like spread your message when it comes to your social media business, whatever it may be? Kind of knowing that and just using it and speaking about that, and not feeling too overwhelmed that it has to fully represent you as an identity, represent you as a whole. because I don't think social media can do that. And that's what hold people's back the most. They're like, I don't want to like show up this way because I'm afraid it won't like fully represent
fit
me.
my non-existent brand.
Yeah, fit
Sure.
my ethos. I don't want to be felt like this way. It's like, no, just like share it, show up. Nobody's really caring as much.
Nobody's overvaluing one single post that you had one day compared
Yeah.
to a wave of content, or all the things that you're
And if
doing
you have
all
a
the
message
time.
that you want to share through it, where the real results come from is not through the likes or the public comments. Where it goes down in the DMs per se is that's where the conversations really happen that are impactful.
Yeah.
So changing that metric of success on social media is that I don't care as much about the likes. I don't care about the comments. It's like, is this post going to spark a conversation that's going to have a true impact on somebody today? Is this post about the plastic problem going to have somebody end up buying a reusable bottle and saving in the year, and it's going to save a ton of plastic, that single-use plastic that would end up in a landfill somewhere? So what are those metrics to success for you? Is it looking good? Is it an ego thing? Or is it more so of like an impact aspect of it? And that's just like the conversation that I have with myself daily, and that I try to implement with people, because I teach that so much, and I speak about that so much because it's the reflection that I really need to see.
It's your internal journey.
Exactly.
The best thing that you can speak about is a thing that you yourself are going through maybe 2 steps ago, right? And that, like, from my perspective, you have definitely quieted a large portion of your mind when it comes to those things. Even when it comes to, it's one thing to do like pre-recorded stuff, but now another thing to be is like live, right? Because in pre-recorded, you can edit it. And I think a lot of people film like 17 versions of the same video, or they'll take like 24 selfies and maybe they post one, or maybe they're happy with themselves in one. And I understand okay, I understand getting the shot. Like, I totally get why somebody takes multiple pictures to try and nail the right light or the right angle or the right piece. But I think it's the judgment side of it that saddens me sometimes too, because I don't think that most people are approaching it from like, oh, this is the best job I can do in photography. I think a lot of people are approaching it from like, oh, my chin looks fat, or I'm the wrinkles in my shirt. People are gonna judge me because I didn't iron my shirt or something. You know what I mean? Like stupid shit like that just is completely inconsequential. And I find this format, like this right here, it cuts all the bullshit, because what I say right now is out.
Yeah.
And the cat is out of the bag the second I say it. And that's fun. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go delete it. I could go do whatever, but it's still there. And I love I personally love where that puts people too, right? Because if I'm going to ask somebody a question, they don't know what question I'm going to ask them, it can put them on the spot. And they have to trust me. I have to trust them in many ways, right?
Yeah, and you
Nothing-
don't have to go to the extreme of where we're at right off the bat. It's kind of like working yourself up
Oh.
into that sense. But it is coming down. We're seeing this, and where social media is at now is that it's less about the faceless brand, the faceless flag, and more as the individual. People resonate with you.
Yeah.
Is that people want an authentic connection. And
Yes.
right when Instagram was starting, everybody was following at Amazing Pictures of Earth. We're like, damn, this place called Iceland looks sick. And then they had an amazing influencer campaign, and now Iceland is just like
Popping up.
popping places. Like
Yeah.
everybody's been to Iceland. And now like we've had that phase, and people are starting to unfollow those larger accounts because there's no personal connection to them. If a brand were to go up to some of those accounts, the individuals on their side aren't going to buy anything whenever at Amazing Places of the Earth says something, because their influence is more so about just like epic photos that do
Worth
well in
more to have
algorithms.
10,000 followers than 100,000 if 10,000 followers are following a specific person versus following a vague idea of, oh, I kind of like travel. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's coming through just like being authentic and sharing what your own perception of what your own is.
Mhm.
And there's a bunch of people following that story, whether you're seeing it in your likes or your comments or in your direct messages. Like I said a little bit earlier, there's a bunch of people there's 8 billion people now. There's
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. There's a bunch of people out there. Like I can't comprehend how many people are on this earth, let alone like how big the universe is. But There's, I mean, like, I don't even
There's
try to.
a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people out
If
there.
you're seeing this, it's because you are one of those people.
Exactly, and that stays true. That Gary Vee talks about all this time, and like I'm a huge fan of Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fan series. That no matter whatever you're geeking out on, whatever your niche or niche or however you want to say it, there's multiple ways to say it, I guess. In the industry of like whatever you truly geek out on, there's 1,000 people that will truly resonate with that, and you can build an awesome community, an awesome fan base, and even very thriving business off of just sharing what's important to you and having a perspective and sharing that perspective, because people want to hear that, and people are vicariously, they're living through you, or they're just interested in the topic, and you're providing that community, you're providing that business, or that ground to
An
have
insight.
those conversations
Mhm.
at. And that it just really just comes with like showing up and seeing what's important to you. And at the end of the day, like nobody has to like start to follow Gary Vee religiously, but if that's something that's interesting to you, that platform is out there. Or you can just get in part of those communities and have that experience and find those communities and those connections which weren't available years ago. You can find your tribe, create an ecosystem that's thriving to you and entertaining you and healthy. But you can also fall into ones that are
Very
unhealthy as well.
Very, very
So
unhealthy.
choose wisely. I mean, don't let the algorithms control you.
I'll go further than that. I think that people need to take media diets.
Yeah.
I believe that the trend of like the age of 2020 and beyond, like the next decade of reality, I think we're going to see that internet addiction and screen addiction and all of these things are becoming a real problem further and further. And I believe that we're going to see an age upon which media diets or screen diets are going to become a new fad. And I say fad because it's going to be a problem that people are going to struggle with, and just like prescription drugs or it's imminent. It's absolutely imminent. We're already experiencing it.
4-hour work week, or the Tony Robbins of the internet.
Absolutely.
Internet audit, the internet diet.
The internet diet. It's like it's going to be like it's going to be as
Atkins
big.
diet.
Exactly. It's going to be as big as the Atkins diet, if not more.
I'm surprised it's not already. I mean, it's like coming out. I'm seeing a bunch of people post more about it. Like, oh, I'm taking a break from it.
I think we're in
my
denial.
VA of it. Oh, dude, addiction is so real in our society.
I think we're in total denial. I don't think that we recognize how addicted we are to the tools that we use. You know, I started setting up these limits on all my apps where if I've been on the app for an hour and 15 minutes, like straight without changing apps, it gives me a notification. The only app I ever do that in is YouTube. And that's because I watch like 20-minute videos and then I watch a couple of them in sequence or whatever it is. But the reality of that and how that plays into my life is there are deep, deep rabbit holes that you fall down because these tools are designed to make us addicts. They are literally designed to keep us in the app because that's how they make more money. And that's great in some ways. Like, I think it's really great to be focused in certain moments, but when you're like 2 hours deep into fail videos and you're like, okay, wait a second. Like, what is going on here? I might need to step away. I don't know that people are seeing time pass by in the same way. Like, we are disconnecting from what that looks like. And many apps, just like casinos, you can't see the time. You can see what time it is. Or like, shit, it's 2 a.m. and I've been watching for 3 hours and I didn't really realize. So that is going to become, a media diet in general is going to become important. I also think a media diet from the perspective of like not paying attention to the news, for me specifically, is very healthy. Because when I watch like the latest thing that some politician said, or when I watch like what's going on with the world or the markets, I get a serious anxiety.
First of all, there's no like blueprint to life in general, and then you got to throw this in the mix. There's no like clear audit where it's so new and it's evolving so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is going to be the one? Like, typically when it comes to like it has to be like a personal choice, because whenever it comes to like specific government level, like it moves so slow that it's just going to outpace it. Conversation about this on like a nationwide level is going to come years down the road. So
Totally.
there's going to start seeing those sparks in the conversation of what a healthy diet of that, and how to like really cater to what is healthy and what is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of kids that have like iPads and what like I don't. I mean, I'm not saying that's right or that's wrong. I don't know. Like it's like
Oh, it's
I think
going to have
definitely-
consequence.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
some way,
I
shape, or
definitely
form.
wouldn't.
It'll have an impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless if it's right or wrong, I don't think that you or I or any specific person is the judge of that. But without a doubt, we will start to notice trends, and those trends will impact us. In the same way that we had trends where, like, I don't know, a bunch of people started getting cars, and now all of a sudden we needed to build more roads, and then we had to build more parking. Those trends had consequence on our reality, and they had consequence on the physical planet. You know, I don't know what to do about screen addiction. I definitely know I have it. I definitely know I'm a victim of that, and therefore I'm a victim of my own psychology. And it's crazy because it's further removing me more and more and more from the world. You know, it's like big box stores are dying because all of a sudden Amazon delivers everything right to my door. And that's great short term. It's great for me as the individual, but that's part of the tragedy of the commons, because if everyone was ordering off same day delivery Amazon, or we all go crazy on Prime Day in a few days from now or whatever, like that has massive impact. Like that is not to be understated as to what that does from a carbon footprint perspective, from like a consumerism perspective, from a ease of use perspective, like the throwaway kind of lifestyle that kind of enables. But with all of that said, our own psyche and all of these different things go through various seasons, and I know you wanted to talk about this, so let's dive into it. For those who are listening to this, one of the topics that our common friend Phil Drolet has spoken a lot about, he loves to ask me on a regular basis, is what season of life are you in? Right? And what he's referencing is the idea of, just like the seasons in the world, right, and on the planet, sometimes you're in your own version of winter, sometimes you're in a version of spring or summer or fall, upon which you are kind of in a different phase where maybe you're in a collection phase, maybe you're in a harvest phase, maybe you are learning and growing and planting a bunch of seeds, and all of those things are done at different times of year, very specifically or very clearly, at least when you live in places like Montreal, where it can be very cold, and the seasons are very pronounced, right? It's not like California. So the season of life methodology is a very good, from my perspective, I think it's an exercise we both resonate with, is a very good way of saying like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be pushing and meeting the resistance of like trying to harvest when I'm not in the season of harvest. Maybe I should be studying and building and creating and so on and so forth. So I know what season I'm in. I would love to know, where do you think you're at right now in your seasons?
Yeah, I'm definitely in spring, I would say. Or like April or a May, depending on where the flowers blossom where at, because I feel like a flower just becoming like seeing like, all right, this is like what I'm going into summer, and like where I'm gonna be in like full effect right now. It's like a lot of stuff is just becoming very clear, and I'm starting to see what is sprouting at that time. And just like, oh, I got these colors, I got these, like I got like this.
More's coming online again.
Yeah, like it just like blossoms. I mean, everything is becoming a lot more clear to fully get into like hustle, like implement, feel clarity right around the corner.
Yeah.
It's everything is becoming more and more clear. But on the outside, the external of where I'm at, I mean, I'm like we're down in Montreal at the moment. And September, I'm gonna go to Virginia to stay for a couple months. But like, so in terms of, I might be more of a hermit mode when it comes to a specific place. I'm way less traveling, and it just feels really great. And I'm more so on an internal understanding.
But I think that fits spring.
It does, yeah.
Because in spring you have to plant seeds somewhere. You can't be moving all over the place. You really need to like put some seeds in the ground and get something going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's definitely where I'm at right now. Everything is becoming clear, getting good routines, getting good schedules, starting to like have a good consistent watering cycle, I guess, if I'm a plant equation. Serving it. But yeah, it's cool. It's fun, and it's a constant reminder of like trusting the process, finding routine,
Mm-hmm.
and then like watching it unfold and going like full into summer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely very exciting to like watch it unfold. Having like the dictation of like where I'm guiding my tomato plant, where I'm guiding like as the plant grows, but also at the same time like having the freedom to like trust and
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Keyword
glad that
trust.
I'm glad that we're Hermes and plant so we can like
We are plant geeks.
yeah,
Yes.
we can use that like I
For
use
those
like
of you who don't know, we are huge permaculture fans. We are definitely sustainability geeks, if you will. You know, we go about that in different ways, whether it be composting or going out to the land here at Valhalla, and all the things that have united us. In fact, do come from our give a shit nature about the planet. So
yeah.
you're in
By yourself.
spring. I am in I'm in early summer. So I was in a deep, deep, deep winter, this actual winter. I went through a spring all the way up until like I would say the solstice. So I'm like actually in sync with the season at the moment. I wasn't for some time, and I kind of like had a weird fall my last fall was like a very quick harvest phase, but I definitely entered some level of winter where I had to like really look at myself, and I'm still looking at myself in certain ways. Had to start planting completely new seeds, like full on new vegetation, and like a chop and drop style, right? So you would go back to permaculture. Sometimes you have like the wrong weeds in the garden. You pluck them completely from the root, drop them on the ground, and plant the next thing next to it, and use that old thing as mulch to kind of birth the new. And so I'm in that phase. I'm in a little bit of a balance between planting some tomato plants, meaning some annuals, and then some perennials. Perennials meaning fruit trees or berry bushes, things that come back every single year. For those who don't understand the references, but in that I'm definitely in a summer phase because I'm recognizing now that I just need to kind of maintain consistency and monitor all the little things that I've tweaked and gotten in place during the spring. So those things are quite like physically apparent right now. They're physically apparent in the physical space that we're in, not just this podcast. But I'm like coming back to life as well. And I'm definitely in my power further, but I'm not quite in harvest mode. I'm not in like the bring it all in and kind of start preparing for winter. I'm definitely in like an early summer where I'm not necessarily seeing all the fruits of my labor just yet, but I am 100%. I've been here so many times, particularly, and we all have, like everybody in their life, and anybody watching this right now, you've been in some of these seasons at some point, if you choose to follow this reference. But when it comes to an entrepreneurial version of myself, I've been here so many times it doesn't even make sense, right? And so I know what that kind of feel like, and sometimes it goes faster. And this one is this whole winter, spring, and summer feels long. It feels like it's going to be a real year, if you will. It's not going to cycle through a couple of times in a single season or a single year. Sorry, it's really going to take its time to develop and take its time to get somewhere, and that's okay. I'm finding good balance and sustainability in it all too. Like I think my character is shifting from being much more dominant, forceful, masculine, if you will, in the way that I communicate, in the way that I share, the way I relate, the way I support other people. I approach it from like a more traditional male-female energy, I think, and that what comes with that is like some level of toxic masculinity sometimes, which is like a lot of great, powerful strength can come out of that, but a lot of like gaps and a lot of like just complete misses and disconnects that are definitely incredibly relevant today in society when in a world of Me Too, in a world where I believe the feminine is rising in a very powerful way. And shout out to the ladies out there, and all the non-binaries and everyone. Just be politically correct about it. See, these are the things. Even that, just that right there. Shout out to everyone.
Yeah.
That's the culture that we're in, and it's never been less safe to be at the polls than it is right now. And yet, ironically, in the politics of the world and in many of the different things, the things that are at the polls, the extremes are what are either like completely awe-inspiring us, and you and I both know that awe-inspiring goes viral, and or enraging us, and we also know that goes viral. And so that balance of like, how do I maintain balance within myself as a person, but also recognize that me as a character, this person here, the more outlandish I am right now, the more likely this is going to create a rise in people, and then the comments, good or bad, are serving my platform.
Yeah. Well, how does it feel internally for you? Like what so there's like
challenging.
There's the outside perspective, but what does it feel to be a little bit more passive or just calm? I can see it within you with the conversations we're having, and like even with dealing with our troubleshooting of this podcast before we even got started, it was like less of like, fuck, shit. It was like more so like, all right, we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna do this thing. It's like, oh, before. So like, how does it like, how does it feel to like internally to like slow down in that way?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm seeing all the benefits just yet. I still think I'm learning this pace, and I definitely will default in certain moments to just getting impatient and feeling like I'm just here to do my job and get out, and it's annoying. It's really annoying to have to like constantly process and constantly relate. So there's this feeling, to some degree, there's like a thorn in my side, and it feels a little annoying and like, and I've that's the sound that I think it feels like, that feeling, and that is softening more and more and more. And I think I could feel that in all fronts, in my jaw, in the way I'm relating to the woman in my life, like even a simple, stupid stuff, not stupid stuff, but simple little mini details. Like my father sent me something the other day, and he just like wrote something to me. I asked him a quick question, and then he wrote something back, and then normally that conversation would have just like ended right there. And then I sent something right like immediately after, saying like, "Oh, how are you?" And I realized I literally never asked my father that question. Like I never, ever, 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 ever ask him how he's doing. I'm always just, hey, like, how's it going? But as a formality, potentially.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what I mean? But like not like a real, like, how are you?
And
yeah,
it's
like
sitting there, and like it's not
like
about
waiting,
the questions you ask, but it's how you receive.
The receive it. Like how much presence am I bringing to all the things that I am doing, right? And that presence is changing in me, and I know that that's changing the entirety of everything I've created. But that's uncomfortable. And you, of all people who have seen, Superhero Academy's ups and downs and all the different things that go with that, much of those ups and downs followed me, right, for some time, because I was kind of the person who understood and was manning all the positions. And now that's completely changing. Right? It's like, okay, somebody's taking care of financials. We've built a system for this. You're taking care of marketing and CMO, and we're talking about community management this way, and somebody's going to take care of Facebook ads. And so it's like now I can geek out. I can get back to like what I actually want to do, which is this. I'm like, this is what I know is my ability to move this forward and forward for me, and you'll do the things that you can move forward for you. And that is so much more fun.
Yeah, so important to be able to do what you love and just to be like fully empowered. And like it's easy to lose sight of it. It's easy like not everybody brings their own everybody brings their own paint party. Our party that's like it's cool, and if you can like find like your own combination to make the rainbow, then it's like makes everything fun. Otherwise, you can just be like crazy corner, which is fine. Be that person, but like, I mean, the best thing that you can do for yourself, and the best thing the world at large, is to have some peace and have some like excitement in what you're doing, unless you're an asshole. So like, don't like use that as a way to like raise your raise your like racism or anything forward. Like that's not cool. You get what I'm trying to say from this. Is that like
if you're a dick, this isn't a message for you.
Yeah, this isn't for you. But like if you're doing so in a peaceful way and like you're excited about it, you're adding like positivity to the planet, you're like sharing your art. Awesome, first and foremost. If you can find people to share that with and to co-create with, like more power to you. It's awesome. And I think that's like, that goes back to, that's what I'm reflecting to you, and that's what I'm reflecting to myself, is like, all right, how can like I be stoked on a business front and like a lifestyle front where I'm meditating in the morning, working out, eating good, feeling good. That all has a cause and effect of where I stand, where my mentality's at, and how I show up in every.
Well, and all of these little details have a massive impact.
Yeah.
Right. Like what we're doing right now for you and me, like we're fire signs, right? Like we build on fuel being added to the fire in some way, shape, or form. Like I cannot spend a ton of time in meetings. I think I have more capacity for it than you. I don't want to say I have a love for it. I hate it just as much as you do, I think. But I think I've recognized that it's part of the beast, right? Like I recognize I'm a little bit further than maybe you are in that particular journey. But that being said, I get irritated just as much from this like constant conversation of like, oh, can we do this? Can we do that? Like what, like planning to plan meetings upon meetings upon meetings. And I just value so much somebody who's like just willing to roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty without necessarily knowing how everything goes down.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of benefits, particularly when you're doing that to the extreme. And my career is marked by me doing that to the extreme. That's Valhalla, that's Superhero Academy in a nutshell. They were born out of that energy, but they will not grow, they will not scale, they will not support the world without balancing out and potentially going significantly deeper, even for some period of time, into an energy of care and love. You know, we were speaking about this yesterday with Johan. We were talking about what Valhalla and Terra Firma and these, you know, some of these eco villages here in Montreal, what are they missing? And like, what is it that's like really good about them and what they're doing, and what is it that they're kind of like lacking a little bit of right now? And how does the even just like the global outlook on community feel at the moment? And the main thing I would say is, from my perspective, is that community is actually at a little bit of a lull compared to like between 2010, even 2012 specifically, all the way until like 2015. It was at a bit of a peak. It was at its version of fall. But right now, it's definitely in some level of a winter with what I believe is a spring that's about to happen again. And, you know, we call it the Arab Spring and all these things for a reason. There is a resurgence that I believe is going to happen that couples the next financial crisis. But the idea of what these projects, particularly my own projects, were lacking was some level of a feminine touch. And I say feminine, it doesn't have to come from females. It's just more of a yin, a love, a care for the individual, and not just this brash, like, it's going to be better, it's going to be better. And I really appreciate what you said earlier today. You were like, hey, Mark, I really want you to just like go and post in the community group and not just talk about like the next thing that's coming, because we've done that too many times. And it's not, yes, we've always delivered in some way, shape, or form, but only to a certain degree. And that's not what the delivery of what people want as much anymore. It's not about how many hours are in a class. It's about like what level of support that is going to actually bring to everyday people. And that's back to the 1,000 True Fans. There was a period of time where it's like, put as many people as possible into the funnel and go as wide as possible. But I don't think that is what is playing out anymore, even algorithmically.
Yeah. I mean, like our big thing with Superhero Academy is the ROI, both on return on investment, ripple of impact. I think that is like, I have to reach 0 to 1 million as quick as possible. But it's like, that's not sustainable, and that's like water. Yeah. Whenever you can be like, yo, just like sit down and have an amazing conversation with your neighbor, or amazing conversation with somebody who's already engaged with what you're doing and really wants to hear from you, is already there to listen. And that impact, you reaching out and having deep conversations with one or two people, lead to 4, is going to lead to 8, is going to lead to 16. I'm not going to keep on going, even though I'm great at math. But you get the point. Is that like let's slow down a little bit and really just like give a shit about the one-on-one connections and not be lost in the sauce of like trying to reach 0 to a million on just a surface level. And like, yeah, you can do that, and yeah, you can spread wide, and there is a time and a place for your message to be carried in that way. But like, really, you can make massive impact, positively impacting courses. Like, having a part of changing the course, at the end of the day, it's up to what style they want to take. But you can definitely have an influence through the conversation you have and through how you show up for yourself. And like, as far back as I can remember, whenever like I kind of got into impact, when I got into self-development, like what that looks like, was I told myself, I was like, I just really want to positively impact 2 people. Like, that's like my goal. I'm not going to try like thousands of people. If it happens, sure, great. But like, if I can like continue just to like double what myself as an individual, then I can be satisfied in that way. And that's what I love so much. 1,000 True Fans. Don't go wider. Focus on the quality and not the quantity is similar. And that quality will come. It might take a little bit more time, but the impact is going to last way more than a simple meme at 5 o'clock somewhere.
Totally. It is 5 o'clock somewhere, and with that, cheers.
Salute.
We had to walk that back for half a second. So I just realized that there's an app that allows us. So I can see how many people are watching.
Oh, cool.
And there's an actual app that allows us to dive into the chat.
Okay.
So I want to see if we can get that going.
Real quick.
Go for it. I will pull it up. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are just tuning in, we are going live here from the Storytory, coming from Montreal, and yeah, I mean, there's something to be said. Oh, we have to reinstall this app. Well, anyway, there's something to be said about what it takes to live stream and to go live in this kind of format. And we've spent a lot of time dialing in these different systems. I've got an iPad here that is a video switcher. So when I hit a different button, right, this button over here on the bottom, boom, it goes to this camera. I hit this button over here, boom, it comes to this camera. So if you want to see what that looks like, we are using the Cinemaker app as a tool for live streaming, and we're actually live streaming to multiple platforms. So if you're watching this on Facebook, well, welcome from Facebook. But if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch or LinkedIn or where all the other places that we're streaming to like 7 different places right now. It's pretty remarkable. So I'm learning a thing or two about how this tool works, and yeah, this is the first time I've ever done this in this way. Yet I've had this idea of doing this for almost the better part of a year now in full. We first learned about Cinemaker and some of the different pieces there. We wanted to go live only on one project, but now this is gonna take this to another level. Let's see. I'm trying to see what the chat looks like. Oh, yep. So I am seeing that somebody wrote, "Hey guys, it's awesome to see you on live." See, I don't know how that's working. Oh, it does. It just brings up all 7 of them. So we're currently streaming to 7 places. There's 11 people watching at this very second, but there's been more coming in and out. There's an analytics tab. Well, that's cool. This is a restream. We caught your legs coming down the stairs, LOL. Somebody wrote that. At Jared's legs going up and down. Wow, this is kind of cool. Yeah. Embed in stream. You can embed the chat in the stream? No way. Oh, wow. That's so crazy. This is us geeking out.
Yeah. Night mode or like black.
Yeah, the app,
What's that
the
called
app,
again?
the dark mode.
Dark mode.
Yeah. The dark mode to this app is very nice.
Very well done.
Yeah, very nice restream. We love you and love what you're doing, and thank you very much for your promo with AppSumo that allowed us to do what we do and have lifetime subscriptions. And for those of you who don't know AppSumo, you're missing out. Find a link somewhere.
We need our friend Devin to come back
yeah.
with his guitar because he used to do our interludes and he used to do our
That's
commercials.
true.
John
true.
Devin, if you're watching this,
We need you back here. We need you back in Montreal making our interludes. David wrote, what hardware are you guys using? Ooh, okay, we are using a lot of hardware here. How about we do a little tour? We're gonna do a little tour. So main thing that we're using, all right, I'm gonna use this camera over here. This is the core camera. So the thing that we've got going on here is that we've got a camera here that is an iPhone. I'm actually twisting and turning an iPhone.
Here, let me help.
We've got this iPhone over here, which is moving and flowing. And that is what's kind of going around. Now, oh, actually, I had to switch to that camera. So we have those iPhones here in the background. And then, of course, we've got this iPad. So you've got this iPad, and this is using something called Cinemaker. And Cinemaker is an app that enables you to switch between iPhones or DSLRs and actually use a system like this to do what we're doing right now. So if I click this button, it switches to that camera. Click this button, switches to this camera, and back to this one over here. So this is the behind the scenes. Now, physical hardware, we've got lights. We've got lights up above us. So there's one light above here, and there's another light above me. These are perpetual lights. They're just plugged in. Of course, we've got the on-air sign and the Superhero Academy sign. Those are just, LED lit signs that were custom made by, this sign here was made by something called Sign Nation. And then over here, and I'll use this camera over here to do that, while Yali, who's behind the camera, helps out, we've got a fairly interesting hardware system. I can actually zoom in. Oh, boom. Here we go. There we go. So this is a preamp. This is a Scarlett Octo 8 preamp with a dual monitor system. So we have the monitors coming out to, one is a Zoom recorder. So that's this thing right over here. And the other is to an iPhone. And the iPhone is the fourth iPhone in our system. So we have 3 iPhones that are filming, one that is doing purely audio, and then all of that is going out to this computer. And this computer is running Restream, and it's running Adobe Audition. And so in Audition, we're actually recording the like a backup, and it's kind of a mix of all the audio. It's a backup to the entire system. So is the Zoom recorder. But the phone is what you are actually getting. So it's just getting the out from the preamp directly to the phone. But we also have an out that goes right to these headset monitors, which I have to dial in a little bit more. And the last thing over here, this is just a power bar. So this is just a multi-power bar. It's got some power in the front, but all the inputs are in the back. And this thing here is actually not being used whatsoever. This was our old system. Yeah, this was our old system that we were using before we had the preamp. But it's just there to look good, exactly. Just there to make that happen. So
when has Joe Rogan done this?
Yeah. When exactly? Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, beyond that, the hardware that we are using in terms of the mics and all of those things is the Shure mics. I can't remember. I think they're called the 450.
Update your
Kit.com. Yeah.
Kit.com?
Yeah. So anybody who's watching this, if you go to kit.com/Mark Angelo Coppola, you can go and see the actual hardware that I'm using. The only thing that's missing is this preamp over here, but I'll add that for you. So everything else that we use on a day-to-day basis is available for you to find on Amazon or everything else. But we've got Rode stands, Amazon Basics, XLRs, and all the things that go with that. So there you go, David. I'm glad that you enjoyed the little tour, and we'll do an in-depth version of this. Like we'll make videos on this in depth further, and setting up this physical podcast space here downstairs here at our studios in Montreal. So always a pleasure, always fun. to get something like this going. So, yeah, lost that phone somehow. You unplugged it? Yeah, just keep them plugged. Yeah. Stream looks great. Volume a little low. Respect to you guys. Yes, I know. The volume is a little bit low on the phone, but it's coming out nicely on everything else. I know that if I were to turn this up just a little bit, now the volume should be a little bit more juicy, a little bit tougher on that. How's that sounding, David? I would love to hear your input as to what that's looking like. This is so cool that you get all the all the chats in all the different platforms too. So it's not just Facebook. It's like everything from.
My next question of how we can actually.
No, it's from all of them. It's literally from every single one. There you go. Yeah. See, there you go. Right. All I need to do is dial it, but it's just because other recorders that we have here sometimes a little bit more sensitive, so I don't want to over crank it. But I think I've got it. In the right zone right now, so it's good. But yeah, so it does get all the chats from all the different places.
Awesome. This feels very successful.
This feels incredibly successful. This is the most success we've ever had with this live stream. Yeah. Yeah, David, I see that you're on FB, actually. I can actually see where people are.
Page he's from?
No, that's the only thing I don't see.
That's fine now. I mean, that's
I can actually reply.
On text there.
On text. Let me see if I can reply. Let's see this. You see this. Boom. Whoa. I think that worked. Ladies and gentlemen, we are innovating here. We are changing the game when it comes to live content because, well, we're the people that do it. If you thought that we were hidden in a cave during our winters, well, we were, but we were in a very
Amazon delivers.
But exactly. But Amazon delivers to our cave, and this is what we've been up to. No, I mean, look, we've been at it for a minute. I mean, we learned about this app when filming a course about how to build a school, which I haven't even really publicly announced at all, other than maybe right now. We built an entire course on how to build the school, how to do production of online content from the perspective of teaching online. And we don't really cover this specifically in it, not the podcast setup, but we definitely do go a lot further in what does the behind the scenes of Superhero Academy look like.
We're still figuring it out right now, so we'll be able to launch that course in time. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that the original plan to stream just to one group didn't work out because I'm stoked with. Now we're on 7 and a little bit more.
Wow. This is so cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that does that for this live stream. Thank you so much, Garrett Atkins, for being a constant supporter, a constant I don't know, just like a driving force in all the things that we are doing and creating. And I know that my own frustrations and my own capacity and the way I show up energetically sometimes in this space and in our business is not always the easiest thing. But I knew we would get here. I know that we're going to be historically correct. And I'll steal from Gary Vee saying, that's what really matters. That's what matters to me anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Brother, very stoked, and thank everybody for tuning in.
Yes.
You'll be seeing more from us. We're gonna keep this consistent on Wednesday nights. We haven't picked a specific time, but
after work.
It feels good right around the same time.
Yeah. Sometime right after work, Wednesday nights, you'll be seeing a lot more of this. We'll also be doing live classes and different things at Superhero Academy. All of those things are coming soon. I promise you, there are some big changes afoot, both energetically and in the code of the interwebs. So we'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that subscribe, love, like button, whatever it is. Leave a comment if you have this, even if you're watching it not live. And we'll be doing podcasts. We'll be on 11 platforms, so it won't just be video. It'll be audio too. Love you all.
Peace.